Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is almost here and it's time to buy yourself a new controller because I already know you're about to break the old one. Before you dive into the
Hey, it's me, Goku!
meme battles, let's make sure you're ready. I've got a few insider tips from the devs themselves at events like EVO and the Bandai parties to help you master the game and dominate your opponents from the start. Whether you're a seasoned Budokai veteran or new to the series, these 7 things will give you a massive advantage. There's not a single fighting-centric game I've ever played in my life where mastering movement was not one of the most crucial things in the game. You decided to stand still in Guilty Gear? Cooked. You don't know how to sidestep in Tekken? Bodied. No rematch. And have you ever heard of this game called Naruto Storm? Stand still in that game if you want to. In fact, the only game I think doesn't care about movement is probably One Punch Man. In Sparking Zero, the devs kept the core mechanics of the series in place, but they tweaked a few new things. If you can constantly dance around your opponent with high-speed movement using a combination of side steps and dragon dashes, then you're already 5 steps ahead of the game. I know we're all excited to jump into the game, lock in Chi-Chi-Sun, and go to town. But before we do that, I promise you, if you learn how to get some insane movement in Sparking Zero, you will win at least 93.7% of your online matches. And yes, that's a Pokemon reference. For my tryhards, if you want to practice some of these mechanics now, games that have already released like Raging Blast 3 or Armored Core 6 will get you more familiar with the mechanics in the game, like the counter system and short dash movement. Learning how to move like a god goes hand in hand with your offense too. Not getting hit isn't enough to win, no matter how cool Whis auto dodging looks. At some point, you need to beat the fuck out of your opponent and establish dominance. Sparking Zero already has a lot of traditional mechanics Budokai Tenkaichi fans will love. And then there's this. On top of the movement we talked about earlier, one of my most anticipated things from Sparking is to figure out how I can use the new Vanishing Assault to take someone to Mix-Up City and then keep stealing my turn back. It's a new option that lets you vanish behind your opponent anywhere from close to mid-range, giving you the chance to stay on the offense. Coming from a predominantly fighting game background, I love playing characters that give my opponent the illusion of making the right choice, when in actuality, every choice they could make is obviously the wrong one. Now, I'm not saying Sparking Zero is gonna let me do this, but you can best believe I'm gonna figure out how, when, and how. Why did I say how twice? That doesn't make sense. There's so many attacks in this game, like Dragon Smashes, Pursuit attacks, Lightning attacks, homing punishes. It's probably impossible for me to tell you every single option, but that's where training mode comes into play. And I know you, yes, you right there. I'm looking at you directly now. We're gonna have some eye contact. I know the first thing you're gonna do is rip the plastic off the game and jump online, but the least you could do is learn a thing or two for yourself before getting your first rage quit. That actually leads me into something just as important as movement. Defense. I know this stuff seems like common sense, but I promise you it's not. For most of us who grew up playing the game, a lot of mechanics were lost to us unless we really played the game. You know what I mean? But there's an entirely new generation getting ready to jump into Sparking Zero, and they have little to no idea where to start. Honestly, you guys are going to be like bullies to these kids, and to be fair, I might be here for the chaos. It don't matter if they're 3, 4, 7, 12, or 22. Don't let anybody win for free. Specifically to my newer generation stepping into the Budokai world for the first time, please learn how to block. Learn how to dodge, learn how to parry, and do whatever else is needed in order for you to not get bombarded by somebody's brainless offense. Offense is super strong in this game, but I feel like defense might be stronger based on the little bit that I played with some of the other creators at EVO this year. I was completely blown back when I learned that a 3D fighter that wasn't Tekken in 2024 has high, mid, and low attacks to guard against, throws, break, grabs, and once you start mixing in short dashes to throw combos, the game gets super hectic really fast. If you want the best chance at not being overrun by brainlessness, then you need to learn how to use your defensive options like Z counters, super perception, revenge counter, and the different recovery / guards. Otherwise, it might be GG's for you, big dog. Next up is the new episode battle mode, which is currently Sparking Zero's unique way of telling the single player story from the POV of 8 different characters. To my knowledge, this is going to be the fastest way to unlock specific characters within a story, but it won't unlock everyone. If I'm not mistaken, you'll need to pay with in-game currency that you unlock just from playing the game. So if this is anything like Smash Bros, it's probably gonna be one of those things where you can play the arcade mode or fight a lot online and then just use the points that way. That being the case, what's cool about this mode is that even though we all know the Dragon Ball Z story by now, there are these new what if episodes that are custom to Sparking Zero. Not a lot of folks know what the actual requirements are to trigger these what if episodes, but from what I've heard, there is 1 or 2 what ifs per character world. Personally, I love playing through the story of Dragon Ball instead of just watching it because of how dynamic the next gen gaming engines allow the models to get. Like, have you seen what Kakarot gameplay looks like in 4K?
No! No, no, no!
Speaking of what a game looks like, we should point out something that I know will be overlooked by most players. The HUD, specifically the battle HUD. In any fighting game, a skill that isn't taught but always assumed is keeping an eye on both your resources and your opponents. This is most often referred to as some kind of resource or meter management, and a lot of the more powerful special skills or super counters consume something from this HUD, whether that be the physical skill count number, the key gauge, or even the HP gauge. Regardless of what it is, your powerful moves will always cost something of value. For new players, it's okay to miss some of these things here and there since you're more focused on the fight. But if I had to pick the 3 major things that are important to pay attention to, it would be the HP gauge, because if it hits 0, you die. Your key gauge, because it's directly related to your movement. And lastly, the timer. You are going to rage the fuck out if you lose because you didn't pay attention to the fact that you had 10 seconds left to fight and your opponent timed you out for the win. Now that might actually make you break your controller. After that, we could talk about the DP system, which funnily enough is completely new to me. Not because I didn't play Budokai before, but because I never bothered to play online rank mode in any of the Dragon Ball games except Dragon Ball Fighters for obvious reasons. Just like some of the previous games, ranked matches will consist of certain restrictions for characters on your team. The easiest way to explain this is actually, you guys know that one type of checkerboard question that goes around the internet asking if you had $20 to build a team out of these characters, who would you pick? Then on the board it'll say something like Goku costs $5, Batman costs 10, and then the Penguin costs 1. The DP system is basically that, but specifically for the game. Personally, I feel like this is a great thing for creating a reasonable balance within the rank system, because ideally you won't have to worry about something like you deal within Dragon Ball Fighters, where you're constantly fighting a team of overpowered fusions using C assists with full screen beams and excuse me, that was my bad, bro. I had a little bit of trauma come back up. My fault. The DP system is good for now. We will revisit this once we get the costs of all the characters on release. My last 2 things to know are mostly geared towards my fellow creators, but honestly, there's so many fans of Dragon Ball that I know everyone is going to go crazy over this. Custom battle and world tournament mode. Custom battle is going to give us a ton of original content that ranges from the wildest stories like Goten versus gigantic Ginyu, or stuff like 3v1 similar to the previous games. From what I can tell, this custom battle mode is basically Dragon Ball's version of Mario Maker. And if you guys have watched even an ounce of Dashi, you know that game has given creators content for over 5 years. With nearly 200 characters, and I'm sure a consistent flow of DLC passes in the future, Sparking Zero is lined up to have some ridiculous amounts of content to play for a long time. After that, we jump straight into my absolute favorite mode in the game so far, the World Tournament. Now, I'm already working on a grand idea with some of your favorite creators, so stay tuned for that. But this mode, having the options it does, makes it so that not only does Sparking Zero fulfill the Budokai itch for older players, but it also satisfies the itch of players like me who honestly just want to brawl it out in a ring. No flying, no powers, no explosions. Well, I guess I can't really stop the explosions because someone like me really loves explosions, but that doesn't fit my narrative right now. I love what this game has been showing us so far, and all of us only have about a week left to play for ourselves. This truly feels like the game the anime gaming space has been waiting on for years. Now, if you guys want to see all the crazy ideas I have in my head being turned into video projects with some of your favorite creators, subscribe and stick around. But if you want to be involved directly in some of these other projects, then by all means, join my Discord and become a part of me. I wrote that out just like, cause it sounds cringe, I swear. Like, listen, bro, it's a thing from Street Fighter 4. And then, Seth, the blue guy, and he become a part of me and he swirls it. I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things here. So, I just want to have some fun with the homies. I think that's a great way to smell you later.